Hello. Hello, and welcome to United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey. Because I think I still have a couple people just wandering down, a couple minor advertisements. Do check out our website, uacnj.org. It's where you're going to find information on our organization, all about our member clubs, as well as what different presentations we have going on and what presentations we've done in the past, as well as all sorts of fun info, connecting you to our socials, to our Instagram, Facebook, Discord channels, where you can hit us up with questions and where we also post any events that we have coming up. We are a nonprofit, so we want to once again thank everyone who's helped us keep the lights on, although we try not to do that as much as at. Hello? Okay. Hello? Can. Hey, Chris. Okay, the speaker decided to. Okay, so I'm just going to speak louder for the people out here and move the mic slightly farther away so I don't accidentally kill my online viewers. Because we do. Oh, there it goes. We do live stream this to YouTube and Twitch. So if you ever can't make it up here, you can always check us out online there when we go live. So, for everyone who's here, couple safety briefings. If you need to use the restroom, it is the porta potty in the back to my left, your right. We also have a gift shop and museum area that you can also check out through the door. Again, on my left, your right. It's outlined in red. And I'll be there after the presentation because unfortunately they still have not given me the ability to be in two places at once. As soon as that happens, I'll dominate the world. So tonight's presentation is actually our recurring talk, since it is the first Saturday of the month, of What's Up in the June Sky with Lonny. Lonny has been presenting this since UACNJ opened in 1994 and been an amateur astronomer since age 10. He holds 2 degrees. You know, no one can see you over there, Lonny. I see him just barely off camera. But gotta get him in here. He holds 2 degrees from Stevens Institute of Technology in Physics and Computer Science, but thinks practical experience is also has way more weight. I apparently no longer can read. He has written an interactive astronomical history book, Space History Mysteries, which he'll shamelessly plug later, along with several other projects he's working on. I think you have another one coming out soon, so which I forget the title of, which doesn't bode well. But either way, the smartest thing he's done was to marry his narrator, who keeps his feet on the ground and while his head is high above the clouds. And with that, Lonny.
If the microphone isn't working. There we go. Welcome one and all, and everybody at home as well. We do this every month. So right now it's going to be what's up in the June sky because it's June, and everything keeps changing month to month. What's up in the sky, here's a great example, is a galaxy called we're going to be doing a lot of scientific names today, hard to remember. So this one is, repeat after me, M3. M3. Oh, audience participation is encouraged. Thank you. M3 is a globular cluster. That's a globe of stars. You see how astronomers name things scientifically now? A group of stars in a big globe, a cluster. And you can find that in the current sky. And I put it up there because it's one of the things that we amateur astronomers call deep sky objects, stuff that's far away from us, sometimes further than the local stars. A good example of a deep sky object, about 10,000 light years away. There's a lot of these globular clusters that orbit our Milky Way galaxy at all different angles. unlike the stars, which are pretty much in a flat plane. So let's start with figuring out how to find what's up in the June sky. And you can do this yourself too. You don't need me up here blathering about it. You can go to go-astronomy.com and check out the current events, which is what I do. You click on their event calendar under observing, and you'll see the whole year laid out, but I'm just focusing on the current month, which is very good. You said that with enthusiasm. Thank you, sir. There will. We've got lunar phases every month. There is a good time to see the stars, and there's a bad time. And the time that we're in right now, near the full moon, is the bad. This man, sir, thank you very much. I want you to take this gentleman as an example. You can shout out your answers. It's okay, there's no punishment. Yeah, the full moon, as we say in science, sucks. Oh no, that's not right. The full moon is inconvenient because you can't see faint stuff when it's out. And the full moon this year is now. I mean, this month is right now. So tonight, if there were no clouds, it would still be not a great night to see stars, not to see faint objects. But you could see some objects. So let's start with the full moon. Go to moongiant.com and you'll learn all about the moon, the current phase. When is the next full moon? When is the next new moon? I made this slide a few days ago, so it has a countdown. The next full moon is 4 days, 11 hours, 47 minutes, and so many seconds. Well, the full moon is tonight. Moon Giant also has a great calendar where you can highlight the main phases of the moon. And I'm going to point them out because there are certain times when it's great to see detail on the moon, and certain times when it's great to look at faint stuff in the sky, and certain times when you can't see anything because, as we say in the scientific terminology, the full moon ruins everything. Full moon is now. So if you want to see nebulas, star clusters, forget it. Full moon, June 4th officially. Main phases, new moon. What is the new moon? Where is the moon when it's new? Anybody know? Yes, correct, sir. It's hiding. It's in the daytime sky. It's right next to the sun. So why don't we see it? Because, well, how come it's not covering the sun? Why doesn't the moon cover the sun every month? Well, as it's going around the Earth, it's not going exactly in the plane of the Earth's equator. It's tipped. So we have to wait for the whole orbit of the moon to precess around, and then we see an eclipse. And there's one coming next year, and all of you will want to see a total eclipse of the sun, ranging from Texas right on through upstate New York. I'll talk about that when it's closer to the time. If you want to see details on the moon, a great time is when the light comes in at a raking angle. It's called a quarter phase. Half the moon is lit up. Half the moon is lit up. So why do we call it a quarter phase? That's kind of peculiar. Why is it a quarter? What about the other side of the moon that we don't see? That's the other half. Half of that's lit up too. This guy, sir, can you come up and do my program? Oh, okay. Never mind. Now you see, I want you to use this man as an example. Don't be shy. I was a shy person growing up, and as time went by, I realized that you could fake not being shy. Just people don't know. The last quarter moon happens early in the morning as the sun is rising. Right? You look right in the south. Anybody want to get up 5 in the morning? Raise your hand. No volunteers. All right, so you want to go to the end of the month. The first quarter moon happens as the sun is setting. You look due south, which is over there at Jenny Jump, and you'll see half the moon lit up, a quarter phase. All right, and the new moon, great time to see faint objects, is the 18th. Moongiant.com. The moon, every month, the full and new moons have names, poetic names. This strawberry moon is a great name, but there are several. And according to a great cataloger of moon names, Beard, This is either the corn planting or the strawberry moon. Why the strawberry moon? Well, Native American tribes like the Ojibwe realized that the strawberries were ripe. It was time when nature provided plenty of eggs and fish, the return of spring. They called it the strawberry moon. Some people did. I have a reference to skyandtelescope.com. Great place to learn about things like this. But I got these moon names from Wikipedia, which I helped to pay for. It's a volunteer organization. So, strawberry moon. There's the strawberries. Check it out. All right, so we've got a full moon now. We've got a new moon at the end of the month, June 18th. Look for a planet with its greatest distance from the sun, the greatest angle from the sun to the east. That's called an elongation in technical terms. But all it means is that if you're looking at the sun facing south, where does the sun set? To the west, correct, to your right. So if something is east of the sun, which direction do I look? Opposite, leftward. Venus, the planet Venus is bright. Have you noticed? Anybody notice that bright thing in the early evening sky? Is anybody still awake at anybody go outside recently? Raise your hand. Do you look at the sky, or are you always looking at are you down here? I see this a lot. I saw a woman walking her dog today like this. The dog was eating stuff. The dog was in the road. Right? So it's good to look around, enjoy your surroundings. Right? Nature is there. Look at this, all this nature out here. We got a lot of nature here. We have trails. We have bugs, insects. We've got a great sky, one of the darkest in the state of New Jersey, because this is a protected state forest. Right? So in the summer, you can see the Milky Way with this piece of equipment right here. This, for the people at home. This is goes by the term we amateur astronomers use, the naked eye. Repeat after me, naked eye. I don't hear the people in back, they're very shy. Naked eye, thank you. Yeah, that's the most valuable piece of equipment you have. It's always accessible. You always got it.
Not everyone likes to think about their eyes being naked in public.
Right, which is why that's why I've got an emergency modesty filter for mine. So, with the naked eye, we could see the planet Venus near a constellation that's marked out here in lines. I don't see any stars yet because it's too bright. This represents close to the current time. Too bright, but you could see Venus even in the daytime sky. It's that bright. It can cast a shadow when it's nearest to the Earth in a crescent phase. In a crescent phase, it's still so big and bright that you can see a shadow by the planet Venus. I've done it. You can get a piece of paper, put your hand out, and you'll see a shadow. Amazing. Venus is amongst the stars of Cancer the Crab. Cancer the Crab, which looks like a bunch of lines on a star map. I'm using a star map called Stellarium. It's a real-time computer program. I'm going to use it in just a few moments to simulate the sky. And then at the end of the month, we have two significant events. Very significant. I can't forget one of them. This one's easy to remember. The solstice, the June solstice, goes by several names. And it is when the sun, on its path in the sky, on the Earth's orbit around the sun, if we project that into the sky, it would look like this. We project the Earth's equator into space, it would look like that. And the sun is highest above the equator in the northern hemisphere this time of the year. It is the longest day. Very good. And also the beginning of astronomical summer. Beginning of real summer, vacation summer, right? Memorial Day, right? Summer ends, Labor Day, right? But not to astronomers. To astronomers, it's the 20th or the 21st, and then September 20 or 21, days and nights are equal. The sun crosses the equator. The other event I can't forget, June 20th, is my wife's birthday. If I forget that, I'm dead. And I won't be doing any more talks here. I'll be strangled. What's up in the June sky? What are these? June, boy, this guy's got the answers. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, I get very often get a audience that's very shy. They're reluctant to shout out things. It's all right. It's allowed. I'd like you to take this gentleman as an example. Talk to him later. He'll give you some coaching tips on how to be bold, be assertive. Thank you. What's up in the June sky? Let's find out. I'm going to simulate the sky. Don't look over there. Well, you could, because that's where I'm going to simulate the sky using a program, a computer program called Stellarium, which is free. Now, we're going to have a little trouble seeing the screen because it's so bright out. So the thing that you want to do is stick around when this is all done, when I finish talking. When the sky gets dark, you can see the real thing. And we have all these amateur astronomers here. Kim and all these people here are here to help you learn about the sky using the real thing. And that's why we do this series of talks. Stellarium is free. It's an app. It's a computer program. It's a website. It's several things. And it looks like this. And you can simulate the sky anywhere on the Earth. Whoops. Wrong one. Anywhere on the Earth, any time in the past, present, or future. And you can speed up time, you can slow it down, you can go backwards. I want to go forwards because I can't see anything. This is the sky in real time. Current time. Can't see stars. So what we want to do is jump forward in time like this. We're on June 3rd at 20 hours and 16 minutes. What's 20 minus 12? Mathematicians in the audience? Yeah, you know, 8, that's correct. I have a friend who gets really irritated because people say, do the math. Do the math. Right? You can't figure it out. Come on, it's easy. Do the math. He says, it's not math, it's arithmetic. 20 minus 12, that's military time. 8 o'clock, 8:17 at night, we can see hardly anything. So let's go to 9:17, a little better. There are some stars. I can see hardly any over here. So I'm going to zoom in like this. That's exactly what you'll see when you face, if you face north, which is that way, over the roof, you will see the Big Dipper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 stars, not 7. If you have sharp eyesight, go right there and look at Mizar in the bend of the handle. There's another star right next to it, Alcor, famous visual double. A visual double. I'm getting a lot of noise here. Is that any better, Kim? What do you think? Testing, 3.141. 59265 358 979 323 846 26433. And my friend Stephen beat me. I did 25 places. He memorized 50. That jerk. All right, so 8 stars. And this one is a double star, a real double star, spectroscopic double. A spectroscope shows 2 spectrums. Mizar has 2 stars that revolve around each other over hundreds of years. But Mizar and Alcor have no relation to each other by gravity. They just happen to be in the line of sight. So 8 stars in the Big Dipper. And if I zoom out, you might recognize, if I draw lines, you might recognize the Great Bear, Ursa Major. It's going to be very difficult. We'll have to do this. You know what? We'll start next time. What's up in the July sky? We'll start that at 11 o'clock at night. You guys can stay up late, right? I see some dubious, some young faces look very dubious. No, we'll do it at 8 o'clock. We'll do our best. So you want to look for the Big Dipper to get oriented. Why? It's easy to recognize. It's in the north. It helps you find the North Star, which is where the Earth's North Pole points. And if you want to find the North Star, you take the 2 pointer stars in the Big Dipper and go downward to Polaris. The Earth's North Pole points very close to that star. And from New Jersey, most places in New Jersey, you'll see only 3 stars in the Little Dipper. Ursa Minor, Small Bear. That one, and the North Star. Is the North Star the brightest star? Nope. Betelgeuse is not the brightest star, but it's one of the brightest. It's not the brightest. Is it the closest star? No. Nope. It is, according to this, it's 432 light years away. Yeah, the sun is the closest star. That was a trick question. Thank you. Thank you very much. See, another bold person in the audience. It's okay to say answers. We don't punish you. No, it just happens to be an accidental alignment with the North Star. Now, in a very short time, we'll have a bright star as a North Star because the Earth, as it goes around the sun, wobbles. You ever feel that? No, because the wobble takes 25,000 years to do once. But in a few thousand years, Vega will be our pole star. Bright summer star, Vega, in the harp. And thousands of years ago, when the Egyptians built the pyramids, this star, whoops, nope, not that one, Thuban was our pole star. Big Dipper, Little Dipper, King and Queen are way down below. The King to me looks like a house, and the Queen looks like the letter W this time of year. Those 5 constellations are easy to find because in New Jersey they never rise or set. They just spin round and round the pole. The further away from the pole you go, the more things rise and set until, when you're looking low in the south, the Scorpion, the Archer show up only in the summer. And we'll be talking about those constellations in what's up in the July sky. Thank you. See, another bold person. Thank you very much. I've got 2 people helping me with my presentation. Just 2. So we could use a little more. Yeah, I could use more help. Thank you. All right, so let's get to the interesting part. In the south, look to the south. So what you're going to do, that's the west. Well, as we're looking to the south, look to the west and you'll see the bright planet Venus, which is out right now, probably in the trees where we're looking. Wait a minute, west is facing south, west is that way. So look over there. When you're over there, after I finish talking, see if you can find Venus, the planet. Very bright. In Stellarium, you can zoom in on stuff and see that Venus makes a very small angle in the sky. But if you have a telescope, it has a phase like those of the moon, a phase. This would be like a quarter phase. Can we see any detail on the ground in Venus? Nope, covered with clouds. I don't think you'd want to visit Venus. It's almost as bad as the New Jersey summer. The conditions on the ground, 900 degrees Fahrenheit, the 90 atmospheres of pressure, and sulfuric acid atmosphere, so you would be simultaneously burned up, dissolved, and crushed. Right? Any takers? Suffocated. Yeah, any takers? Actually, they sent space probes to Venus that got the same thing happen to them. They lasted an hour and a half, and then they died. So
I don't know. Sounds like working retail.
Yeah. So NASA is planning to send a space probe to Venus that runs on mechanical power, not electrical, like a giant spring, so it'll last longer. Cool. Look for Venus in the west before it disappears. Look higher above, and you'll find a sign of spring that looks like, well, it could be a mane and a tail. Looks like a giant cat. A zodiac sign. Zodiac sign? Who said that? Very good. Another bold person in the audience. Leo the lion is a sign of the zodiac, main sign of spring. Thank you very much. To the left of Leo, we can begin to see the signs of summer. High in the sky is a bright orangey star. The color's not very good in Stellarium. You need your naked eye optical scanner, or naked eye, thank you. Yeah, to see Arcturus. But there's an easy way to find it. If you face south, crane your head back to see the Big Dipper. Follow the arc to Arcturus. Arc, and I'm going to do that right here. Arc to Arcturus, and you'll see a giant kite-shaped constellation that's supposed to be a herdsman with baby goats. Look carefully. Looks just like a... No. How about, you can turn on illustrations in Stellarium. Herdsman with baby goats. Buertes the herdsman. Or it looks like Buotes. But there's an umlaut in there somewhere. So Anybody who knows how to speak umlaut? Boertes, Botes. Arc to Arcturus. Whoops, and I turned on some lines that I don't want. If I keep going, arc to Arcturus, I will speed south to a bright blue star, Spica, spike of wheat in the hand of Virgo, first constellation of spring. You've just seen what a spectroscope can do, right? You just saw an orange star, Arcturus, and a blue star, Spica. Those are star temperatures. Which one is hotter, Spica or Arcturus? The blue one. Right, this man evidently knows about gas flames. Right, I heat with gas. I cook with gas. The blue part is hot. As you go higher up, orange, yellow, that's not as hot. Thank you. Yep, so the sun is yellow. That's, as we call it in astronomy, boring. Average star, boring star. Then you have a giant star, but not too hot, a few hundred degrees. Not as hot as a New Jersey summer. And then the blue star, Spica, about 20,000 degrees. Sun is about 10. Right? It's all nuclear process. That's a hot star, very hot. To the left of Arcturus is a crown made famous by a group of tasks set to a famous hero. Gather the crown, Corona Borealis. Bring it to me. Famous hero starts with a letter H spelled out in the sky. Who is? Who said that? Correct. Hercules. That's correct. Somebody said Hercules back there. Hercules kind of looks like his letter, but in the sky, in the tradition, they draw him upside down with the alpha star, Rasohagi, downward. I don't know why. However, if you want to see a deep sky object like the one we saw at the beginning, there is a famous globular cluster, the best one to see in New Jersey, the brightest one. There is a brighter one down very south. You can see it from Florida very easily, called Omega Centauri, but we can't see the Centaur from New Jersey unless you live where there's no trees. You might see a little bit of it. This one is in the side of Hercules the hero. Go to the top star on the right. Top star on the right. In a pair of binoculars, you can see this thing as a fuzzy cloud. Go a third of the way down to the star, the bottom star on the right, and you'll see a little fuzzy cloud. See it? Just barely in binoculars. Small telescope shows you more and more. Some stars, a few dozen, and then a few hundred, and then thousands. And in the Hubble Space Telescope, 500,000 stars, all compressed, a cluster compressed into a globular shape. So it's called a... No, that's a good guess. Not a galaxy. This is closer. Who said that? Globular cluster. A globe. A cluster of stars in the shape of a globe. If you lived on a planet that orbited one of these stars, your night sky would be street lights. You would never see the stars clearly. You can never find nebulas. You wouldn't know what the universe looked like. There are tens of thousands of these things orbiting our galaxy. They're the oldest thing in the galaxy. They go back 10 billion years when our galaxy formed. And we can see them orbiting other galaxies. The rest of the stars of the galaxy, the dust and the gas that made them, all lie in a flat plane, kind of like a dinner plate. M13. Charles Messier found it. He was looking for comets, Messier, and he made a list of all the things that were not comets that got in the way. This one, no good. M1, wrong. M2, wrong. M3, wrong. Star cluster, wrong. Nebula, wrong. And he made a list of about 104 of these. And we remember him today. Why? For all the stuff that he threw out. So it's like my mother always said, never throw anything out. M13, look for it in a small telescope. Look for it in binoculars. Look for it here. Ask the amateur astronomers to show it to you through their telescopes. Hercules is high in the sky tonight, very high. Down below him, the bright star Vega rises, the one that I said someday will be our pole star. It is part of a triangle of three bright stars best seen in the summer, So I'll be talking about it in What's Up in the July Sky. 3 bright stars in a triangle seen in summer. So what would you call it? What? The triangle. Summer triangle is correct. Thank you. Yep, the summer triangle. There is a bright star here, Deneb, and the 3rd star hasn't risen yet. We've got a dragon. Bringing us all the way back to north. Draco the dragon is one of the constellations I didn't mention, one of the 5 that circle the North Pole. Big Dipper is part of the Great Bear, Little Dipper the Little Bear, the Queen Cassiopeia, the House, her King Cepheus, and the Dragon. Dragon is currently the longest constellation in the sky, but a sign of the zodiac used to be the longest. The one you see in summer with claws and a stinger. Anyone? Scorpion, correct. Scorpius. Astrology name is Scorpio. Astronomers call it Scorpius. It had its claws cut off thousands of years ago to make Libra, the scales. Question? Yes. For you people at home, I don't know if you heard that, but these young gentlemen right here pointed out the story. The mighty hunter Orion got vanquished the scorpion, but the gods, to commemorate the strength and bravery of both, threw them into opposite parts of the sky. So you see the scorpion from New Jersey only in the summer, Orion only in the winter, never the 2 together. Very good. Well, we've covered a lot of the sky. I don't want to confuse everybody. I can do a quick review, look for other things that we might find. Oh, yeah, while we're here, I can point out if I am facing south this time of year, the summer constellations are rising. The Scorpion and the moon is down low in the sky, right down there. See it? Let me go center it, zoom in. Where's the moon? What phase is it in? Recognize it? Full moon, yep. Full moon, the worst time to see craters on the moon. Why? Because the light is coming from behind you. Where are the shadows? Right, there are none. Can't see any detail with no shadows. You can, with the naked eye, see a sea, a mare on the moon, a little round circle. It's at the limits of vision, right? We can see down to about 1/30th of the size of the moon, which is a ½ degree. We can see Mare Crisium, the Sea of Crises, as a little round spot. That sea was made by an impact long ago. The lava it created froze, and that thing is about 2 New Jerseys long, twice as long as the state of New Jersey, about 500 miles. The moon. Really cool to look at, but not now. Come on back anytime. We're open every Saturday, excuse me. We do these presentations every Saturday, open free to the public, so I hope you'll come back. I see another question. The object Theia that made the moon is believed to have hit the Earth at a grazing angle. It vaporized a large part of the Earth, which reassembled quickly, but Theia itself would have become a ring of steam that would have made 2 moons. Now they think there were 2, that we had 2 moons. One crashed into the other, creating our moon, and on the other side that we can't see, there's a big dark area on the bottom of the moon. We think that's where the impact was. Yep, exactly right. That's a theory that Robin Canup tested with supercomputers. It looks like that's how the moon was formed. We'll probably have somebody talk about that in a future talk. Maybe. Away from all the radio wave interference. And who wants to look at the Earth all day long? Yeah, yeah. So the Milky Way is a good place to see right there, that part of the sky. Also, there is, if I put the path of the sun, let's mark the path of the sun. It's called the ecliptic. And here looks like a thin line that's along the signs of the zodiac, which show us where the planets and the sun and moon are, because the solar system is pretty flat. except for Mercury, Pluto, all the comets, and a lot of the minor. In fact, most of the solar system is not in a flat plane, but the major planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Is this the only person who's brave enough to say anything? Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, major planets. Pluto is the brightest and first discovered of the dwarf planets in the Kuiper belt. So we don't call it a major planet anymore. That's right. Oumuamua. There's a lot of odd objects out there. That's our current sky. I'm going to do a quick review so that you can try this at home. It is safe to do this at home. Kids, adults, try this at home. Go out, look north, get yourself oriented. Start looking in the west for things disappearing. The twins, Gemini, Venus, Cancer the crab, Leo the lion, coming downward, 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 later and later at night. I'm going to go later to about 10:36 at night, and I'm going to look up high for the Big Dipper, Arc to Arcturus, bright orange star, supergiant. Speed to Spica, giant blue star in Virgo. Look up high to the left of Arcturus for the crown, which Hercules collected in one of his 7 labors. I think that was one of them, to capture the gold crown. Did you know that there's a Corona Australis? This is Corona Borealis. Corona Australis is the what crown? South crown, very good. See, some people aren't that shy. Down below Hercules, Ophiuchus, the serpent carrier, carrying serpent's caput and serpent's cauda, head and tail of the serpent. The zodiac signs are a little bit off because since the zodiac was created, the earth has wobbled, and now there are not 12 constellations that the moon and sun pass through and the planets. There are 13. Many astrologers do not take this into account. Pretty soon we'll be getting the signs of summer, including my sign. I was born in December. My sign should be the sea goat. Very embarrassing to be a goat. My wife calls me the old goat, but the sun was actually in Sagittarius when I was born. We're off by an entire sign because the earth has wobbled very slowly. That's the sky that you can simulate yourselves. You don't need me. You can do it in many computer programs, many apps. This one is called Stellarium. I'm going to resume the rest of my presentation. We're going to end very soon and send you out to look at the real sky, which miraculously is clearing a little bit. There's some news. A new supernova just blew up. That's an exploding star that has the energy of an entire galaxy of 100 billion stars or more. It's an amazing event. Astronomers are very excited that they caught this, pardon me, very excited, thank you, Kim, that they caught this because they saw it early on. They caught it right at the beginning, which tells them a lot about what's going on as to how type 2 supernovas work. The last one to blow up close to us was a type 1, different. Type 2 is when a giant star exhausts its fuel, collapses in on itself, and creates a titanic explosion as one layer encounters another, blows off with the energy of billions of stars. This is one of the most violent events in the universe. It is in a galaxy 21 million light years away, which sounds like it's far, but it's really not too bad. The closest one to us, Andromeda, is 2.5 million light years away, and our galaxy is about a fifth of a million light years across. So the distances between things is much greater than the size of things. We're gonna have time for questions after I'm done. I'm almost done. So please, no, I see your hand up, and I want you to ask a question because you could be a great example, sir, for the rest of the shy people in the audience. Because I see a lot of shy people in the back.
Plus, we'll when we have the question and answer session, I'll move out so people online can also hear the question.
When this supernova is done with all of the expansion of the gases, it's probably going to leave behind a black hole or a neutron star, incredibly collapsed object. Neutron star has the mass of a whole star in the size of a city. It's unbelievable. All right, so a review. Worst time to see faint objects in the sky, like nebulas, gas clouds, star clusters, globular clusters. Full moon, right? It's terrible. All right, that's now. How about Venus? Venus right now. You want to see it right away. It's furthest from the sun. Why is it a good time to do it now? Because Venus is an inner planet, like Mercury, close to the sun, always in our skies. So it's very often too close to the sun to see. It's an evening star now. Most of us don't want to get up in the morning to see it, so try it now. New moon, June 18th is the best time to see what? Faint objects, thank you. And the end of the month, June 21st, is right after my wife's birthday. Helps me remember. And it's when the sun is highest in the sky for New Jersey and this part of the world. Longest day of the year, beginning of summer, the solstice. Check out Moon Giant. I'm going to remind you, moongiant.com. It shows you when the phases are. You can print yourself a map. You can print yourself a guide. There's all kinds of moon lore. It's fun. And finally, some references. Uwaknage. Repeat after me. Uwaknage. I didn't hear everybody. Uwaknage. Thank you. UACNJ. Uwaknage.org is Jenny Jump, United Astronomy Clubs of New Jersey, has all kinds of good references for you and all kinds of upcoming events, including what's up in the July sky. Magazines, people still make magazines. Can you believe it? People still read. I can't believe, yeah, in print, online for subscription, online for free. There's a big part of it that's free on Sky and Telescope and Astronomy. They've been around for decades. Check them out. They're written at a layperson level, like for you and me. I am not a professional astronomer. I've been doing this since I was 10 years old, about 3 billion years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, as my wife will say. But you can do it. You can learn a lot. They even have star charts in the magazine. And oh, and I forgot to mention, whoops, let me go back a step. Forgot to mention, easy to remember, space.com. Repeat after me, space.com. Right, if you forget everything else I've said tonight, try them. They're good for news. You can get Stellarium for free. You can download it. You can use the supercomputers on their website. You can use the app. That's free. Celestia is free. It's a program. It's an app. It's a website. It lets you fly into space. It lets you see what Saturn would look like from one of its moons. There are only 2 places in the solar system where you can see the rings of Saturn like this, open, changing like that. One of them is its moon Iapetus, where someday they'll build a hotel. And then they'll charge you an exorbitant amount of money to see the rings of Saturn, which you can see from another place in the solar system, which is Earth. I have, if you like to play with 3D planets with your fingers, with a mouse, with a joystick, pardon me, I've written a book that uses virtual reality. You can explore planets, you can move details, you can zoom in, you can turn them around, you can click for videos about what's going on the planet. And the very latest one is its own app and its own website and its own product for sale, and that's Mars at Your Fingertips. Mars at Your Fingertips. Brand new, cheap. There's a free version in HD. Check it out. You get 5 of the videos for free. My wife narrated. I didn't pay her. I'm in deep trouble right now because I never paid her. Got to take her to dinner. You know, it's like forgetting the anniversary. But the full version is in 4K. All 28 landing and crash sites on the planet Mars. All the major features explained and compared, which many places don't do. It's a lot of fun. So you can reach me there at marsatyourfingertips.com. You can see my site where you can play with 3D virtual reality, astronomyinmotion.com. You can contact me in my email, lonnybuinis@gmail, and I'll be very happy to answer you. And we're going to open up for questions shortly. I just want to remind you, that we, UACNJ, is also everywhere, everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Discord, and Kim is going to remind you about that. Before we do that, I just do want to do one last thing, and that is a current project. If I could see, wow. Well, I can't see there. This is my current project. I build three-dimensional stuff. So unlike people who work in NASA who say they build rockets, I can say, yeah, I build a rocket. It's just not a real rocket. It's a three-dimensional model. It's a bunch of points lit up like that and fully fleshed out looks like this. So that is a rocket that I'm going to use for chapter 5, a new chapter of my book that explains about Earth's missing mini-moon, a space mystery that we solved only last year. The Earth used to have a mini-moon temporarily, and they found out that it's a missing rocket, missing for 56 years. I want to thank you for being such a good audience. That's the end of What's Up in the June Sky. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lonnie, and thank you, guys. So I did notice a couple people getting here late, so I am going to briefly go over the safety briefing for people who are here. If you need to use the bathroom, it is the porta potty lit up by the red hanging light back there. After the presentation, I'll be available at the sales desk and museum area, so you can go in there, look at the fun meteorites and whatnot, ask questions. You'll also be able to look through some telescopes. It looks like I have a couple volunteers who have opened up some telescopes now that it has actually miraculously cleared, considering it was forecasted for rain. That being said, when we go to leave here, it will be dark. We are using our headlights. We do not like getting run over, and I am sure you agree with that sentiment. However, when we are wandering around, if we are using a flashlight, please keep that pointed towards the ground. We don't want to accidentally blind people by small bright lights. So, how the question and answer session is going to work. For the people here, when I call for a question here, you're going to raise your hand and kind of wave it about and keep your hand up, because when I'm avoiding stepping on people, I will lose you if you put your hand down. And also because normally it's actually darker, I feel, and I get kind of night blind as it does get darker since I look at screens. So we're going to open it up by our first online question, which was, Lonnie, you've made interactive space objects, and people always talk about the astrophotographers out there. Have you ever thought of doing a collaboration with your astrophotographers to make other interactive space content?
Oh, that's a good question. We can take any object and turn it into a virtual reality object where you can move it all the way around in 3D. I did that with some artwork. I took artwork by William Hartman, a scientist who was one of the first to show that craters on the moon were not volcanic. And I took his artwork of Mars, a different version of Mars, turned it into a 3D object. So that could be done with astrophotography work. That's a very good question. If you have anybody you know who would like to try it, they can contact me through the website, through the email.
Right. So I know there was a question out here during Lonnie's talk that he... Okay, perfect.
Will the sun explode like a supernova?
Very good question. It was, will the sun explode someday like a supernova? It turns out that you have to have a certain amount of mass, of material that has weight, mass, before it can collapse due to the pull of gravity. Our sun has been very successful. The heat of the sun keeps everything boiling and roiling, so it won't collapse under its own weight. Someday it'll just burn out and become a dwarf star, a very dark, small star. But if a star has more than 3 times the mass of the sun, it's destined to collapse forever, indefinitely, and it becomes a black hole or a neutron star, something very compact. So we're in no danger of the sun becoming a supernova. It's not going to explode. It will, however, eat up all of the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, as it heats up in the final stages of its evolution and becomes a red giant star. By then, humanity may have left for another solar system somewhere. The giant planets might have their atmospheres boil away and change in some way. And maybe some of the satellites of Jupiter will be temperate to live on. Yeah, it's a very good question.
All right. So the next online question is, what if the Big Dipper is covered by a slow-moving cloud or something? How would you recommend orienting as a backup?
If the clouds cover the Big Dipper, you're out of luck. No, that's not true. No, you can orient yourself by other stars in the sky. I was once cycling in a downtown area where it was pretty bright, but I could see the constellation Orion because Orion is made up of very bright stars, and I knew the time of the year. I knew that Orion was in the south at that time of night, so I knew that that was the direction, that was south. So you don't always need the Big Dipper.
All right. Another question from our audience here. I ironically don't even hear crickets this time, which is weird because we're in a state park where normally get all the crickets.
What's the chances we would ever see the northern lights from here?
Oh, good question. What's the chance of seeing the northern lights? Well, recently there was an outburst on the sun, a giant prominence, which can create the kinds of interference that we need, the disturbance, the ionized gases. But I missed it. I wasn't able to see anything because of haze and clouds. So every once in a while, that can happen at random. And about 15 years ago, from Jenny Jump, from here, I saw a beautiful array of curtains, auroras. So it is possible once in a while that they come down this far south. That is rare. That's rare that happens.
So a number of set conditions need to happen. Also, Lonny, you want to scoot back because I know you're out of camera right now. So first thing, there needs to be a bright enough display, and there is a scale which the aurora happens on, which I forget the name. I'm sure someone online will love to correct me on what that actually is. That needs to be at a high enough number for it to be visible down low. Second, we need to have weather cooperate. Like Lonny said last time, that we had the potential, we were clouded out. So you can't really, it wasn't naked eye visible with the haze. I think someone did catch a little bit of something using their camera. Third, you need to be in an area with less light pollution. So we are one of the darkest sites in New Jersey. So as far as that, you'll have more luck over here than, let's say, you would in the New York City area. So with that, if there's ever a good thing, and you know that the weather is clear, but you're just in a light polluted area, if you let your neighbors know, maybe everyone turn off their lights, maybe you'll be able to get to see a little something more, because light pollution is actually an ever increasing problem, especially as everything has been moving to the much higher power, lower wattage LEDs, which we also have links to all sorts of articles about light pollution through our website and Facebook.
Just to clarify one misconception. No matter how big the telescope, we've got some pretty big telescopes here. We cannot see through clouds, not optical.
I was about to say not optically, but radio has some power, but that's not visual. All right. The second thing is, if you can kind of cheat as far as orienting yourself. So if you're in an area you know of, you chances are know, hey, if I look out over the Delaware Water Gap, I know I'm looking west. And you can kind of orient yourself generally and go, okay, and use like a planisphere to see what else you might be able to orient yourself to, or one of the online apps to help you orient yourself using other methods. All right, so next question from anyone here? Anyone? All right. So, oh, sorry. You want to wave your hand because I'm. Thank you. Like I said, as it gets dark, I get night blind.
So what tools do you use for your AR simulations of like different objects.
Are you talking about the virtual reality
Yeah.
objects?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can use a camera and photograph around a real object to make your own collection of images, and then you have to assemble those with special programs. One of which is called Object 2 VR. Object 2, letter 2, number 2 VR. But there are many that do it. Or you can. What I do is I have a computer program, um, an animation program that I set up a camera to spin around an object at different angles, different latitudes, and that creates the images. So there's two ways to do it. You can do it by computer, using a virtual object, an electronic object, or you can use real objects if you put it on a turntable and have your camera and spin the object and then put the camera up at different angles. Or you could contact me and I can try to explain it by email. I know email is an ancient tool. It was used by the dinosaurs, but sometimes it still comes in handy. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I'm going to actually skip over this online question where it says, is the supernova in M101 still going? Because we actually did answer that, yes, it is still going and a thing. So the one right after that is, how do we know it is actually a compressed glob instead of an incidental alignment? And I made a marker there because I wasn't sure. M13, we were talking about the globular cluster.
Yeah, how do we know that those stars are all really held together by gravity? We can actually watch them move over time very slowly. We can see their motions, and they move by Kepler's laws of planetary motion. The further away from the center, the slower they revolve, just like the planets in our solar system. Now, that's not true of galaxies. The further away you go in a galaxy, things don't slow down. That's because a large part of the mass of our galaxy and other galaxies is dark matter, that mysterious stuff that does not emit light. Now, there is an astronomer, an astrophysicist, named Eugene Ox. Interesting last name, O-K-S. Eugene Ox has a theory that he has a test for it, an actual test. He says that dark matter may be a special state of the most abundant stuff in the universe, so we don't need to look for exotic particles. He says it's hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe, but a special state called S0 which light slides right through. But we don't know yet. We're still looking for what dark matter is.
All right, another question from our audience, and remember, I kind of like a T-Rex. I can't see unless you move.
A little bit about the Green Hill area. It's in West Virginia. It's a large area with no cell phones, and they have the radio telescopes there.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about Green Hill in is it West Virginia?
I thought it was West Virginia.
Yeah, it sounds right. I've heard of that. There are ordinances in many of places like that where there are large radio telescopes to keep the noise down. That's why it's been suggested since the 1950s to build a radio array on the other side of the moon, where the entire mass of the moon will be blocking the signals from Earth. But yeah, I believe you're right. I think they do have ordinances against excessive use of radio transmissions.
It's supposed to be the largest area in the country. There's no cell phones.
Yeah.
And there's
Well,
if you turn your cell phone on down there, somebody will knock on your door. The only place you'll still find payphones.
yeah, cell phone.
The radio telescopes. I guess it's a huge area, but I don't know much about it.
Cell phones do emit electromagnetic radiation. You know, there are some health concerns about that, and they can interfere. So that's a good point. I'll look that up in case somebody else asks me as clever a question next time. But I don't know the details, but that sounds right. Yeah.
Thousands of acres per square miles.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have heard that. That does sound familiar.
All right, so our next online question is, how far away from us is the globular cluster in Hercules' armpit?
Oh, we sent a signal to M13, the globular cluster in Hercules, back in around the late 60s. They took the world's largest radio telescope at the time. There was a natural bowl, a hole a bowl in the earth in Puerto Rico that they filled with a radio dish 1,000 feet across, 3 football fields. That thing has since been destroyed by hurricane and other problems. It collapsed. Now the Chinese have a larger one operating. But we sent a signal with that radio telescope that'll get to M13 in about 30,000 years, and then we'll get an answer back in another 30,000. So don't hold your breath for the answer. Yeah, about 30,000 light years. Some say about somewhere between 20 and 30,000 light years away.
All right. That's perfect. Uh, well, our online audience should also hear. So,
What you've been talking about it's been great. And you said you've been doing this since you were about 10 years old. Have you ever thought of going into space from, when you were eligible to do this for all the knowledge you have? Because it seems like fantastic.
I would. That's a great question. I'd love to go into space, but the places I want to visit, like my wife and I want to visit places we've never been, like Yellowstone and Mount Rushmore. But the places I've always wanted to see when I was young was the fountains, the geysers of Enceladus, to see if there's life inside one of Jupiter's moons. We think there is. Places like that, I can't get to in my lifetime. So I never wanted to be an astronaut. I like the idea of traveling to these faraway places in my imagination. So it made me become interested in space art, which is a whole form that space artists do. There are about 200 of us in the world. There's an international society I belong to, the IAAA, International Association of Astronomical Artists. And you can go on their website and see all kinds of beautiful renditions of what it might be like to visit the canyons of Mars with the morning mist and haze, or what it's like to see volcanoes erupt on Venus, also what Saturn looks like from Iapetus, things like that. So for myself, no. Now there was a contest to send yourself into space recently, about 5 years ago. If you picked the right spot where a parachute, a balloon would land, they would send you for free into space. And I didn't win.
all right. So I was right. Someone from my online chat did actually tell me what that scale is for seeing a visible aurora. The scale is the KP scale, and for this area, we do need a number of 9 on that scale. All right. So our next online question is: when we go to other planets, will we need to make new constellations for them, or will that only be a problem once you get out of the solar system?
That's an excellent question. The solar system is so small compared to the distances between stars that anywhere in our solar system, the stars look just exactly the same. But if you were to visit the nearest star to the sun, which is only 4 years away by light, 4 times 6 trillion miles per light year, about 24 trillion miles, that's 12 zeros. From there, the sun would appear as an extra star in Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia would not be a W, it would be a zigzag. And that bright yellow star, one of the brightest in the sky, would be our sun. So the constellations would look different from other star systems.
Neat. Another question from out here. All right. So our next online question is: as the wobble of Earth keeps going, what other constellation will be added or lost from the zodiac?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know if anybody's investigated that, but maybe someone in the audience could take Stellarium and run it forward about 100,000 years and see what happens. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, we are going to lose Ophiuchus, but maybe we'll gain something else down below, like the Hare underneath Orion. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I'll look that up.
Well, as we get the technology, it's always fun to think a little forward like that.
Yeah, that's a very good question.
All right. So I am going to put out a last call for any questions online, and we're going to give them a couple minutes just because by the time they hear this, we're already minute or so into the future. Were there any last minute questions from our audience here? All right, I actually do hear the crickets now, which is actually a slight improvement. But with that, like I said, while I'm giving our online people a last minute or so, I do want to thank you all for coming out and supporting us. For anyone online or even here, do drop us those likes and follows on our YouTube, on our Facebook, as well as our Twitch channel, just because it lets us know that you guys want to keep seeing our content. And I believe we're actually 90 subscribers away from 500 on YouTube. So we're starting to get up there in numbers, which is exciting for me. Not so much anyone else. But I want to thank you, Lonnie, for continuing to do this every first Saturday of the month. And if you have any questions that you're like, oh, I should have asked that then, do actually drop us those questions on our Facebook or on our YouTube. We will archive these videos on there. And I do check the comments there fairly regularly.
I want to thank Kim and all the amateur astronomers behind us who made this series possible. And I hope you'll all come back for What's Up in the July sky. But there's only one bold person in the audience. Thank you very much.
Right. Yep. It looks like all our online questions are done. So thank you all and have a good night.